Hi, this is Scotty Gomez. Welcome to Gomer Time with American legend, Mr. Brian Rolston from Flint, Michigan. 1,200 NHL games, national champion, Stanley Cup champion, Olympic silver medalist. Guy I grew up idolizing, and we'll get into that, about the Lake State days and always seen you. But teammate for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's always been a sore subject. Wish we would have been longer, but yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
And I guess we'll get into it. You're from Flint, Michigan. You grew up. You become 11th overall draft pick, but starting as a kid, when did you even think that was going to happen or be possible? Like, did you know early on, or it kind of took time?
Yeah, it takes time, and I think it's different than nowadays where kids are shooting for certain goals and things like that. But over time, it just evolved, and all of a sudden, I'm getting college scholarship offers, and then end up being a first-round draft pick. So. Kind of just happened for me, and I was a bit of a late bloomer, so it's a lot different these days.
Yeah, I must say we're at this facility, the Brian Rolston Hockey Academy. Unbelievable. I mean, where was this when we were kids? But we'll get into that later. But I always wondered why, and it's just kind of because I've been up there, and I know it was a powerhouse to kind of by Marquette. But I asked Dougie Wade the same thing. Got his side, like, how did you end up going to Lake State? And people probably don't understand, they were a powerhouse when I was a kid. Like, you guys always took care of UAA, could never get by them. But I always, it's just being up there, not taking anything away from it, but what schools were looking at you?
Yeah, well, what happened was they were a powerhouse, and that was even Jimmy Dowd, Jersey Jim, was there, and obviously Dougie, before me, he left after his sophomore year to go play with the Rangers. That was the year that I went in. But what happened was the story behind me going to Lake Superior State was Jeff Jackson, who's now my son's coach at Notre Dame, was going to become the assistant coach at Michigan State, and that's where I was going to end up going with Ron Mason. But what happened was Frank Anzalone was the head coach at Lake State. He got fired in that summer, and Jeff took over as the head coach of Lake Superior State, ended up hiring my brother. And that's how I ended up at Lake Superior State.
So they were smart enough to do that. Well,
Michigan State at the time, they were a big powerhouse. So that was kind of in Michigan. That was a place to be.
That was a place to be in.
But at the same time, Lake State was like so close to that national championship, And
then you went into your rookie year or your freshman year.
Yeah.
And then who'd you guys beat that?
We beat Wisconsin. And
was that at the? What was that arena? Was it the Mariucci? The glass was.
No, that wasn't.
Yeah,
that wasn't Minnesota.
Yeah,
I'm trying to. I'm drawing a blank of where that was. I think it was Albany, or that might even been my second year. And then my sophomore year, we went to the final.
That's when you lost to Maine, right?
That's right.
And you guys were up going into the third.
Yeah.
You're going into the third period. You guys were up. And the only reason I knew that because I remember I wore number 11. You were number 11.
Yeah.
Stick to you. Just a little different because you were bigger than me, but I do remember watching all those games and just thinking. And here's where it gets cool, where I don't think many people realize. After that year, that's when the Olympics was going to happen, right?
That's right, 1994.
So then, I think you guys did you come to Alaska?
I'm not sure if we may have. Yeah.
Yeah, because then So how did that process go? You have to leave college.
That's right. So
was that a no-brainer, or was it?
I knew I was leaving.
Okay.
I knew I was leaving, and it was a matter of, am I going to sign with the Devils? Am I going to play for the Olympic team? My goal really was to play for the Olympic team, and what happened was the Devils came up and they signed me before the Olympics.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I made a deal with Lou. I said, Lou, okay, I'll come to training camp. After I've been doing a lot of stuff with the '94 Olympic team at the time, we had been skating and everything, so. I tell Lou, okay, I'll come to training camp, and if I make the Devils, I'll play for the Devils.
Yeah, of course.
If not, if you send me down to the minors, though, I want to go play for the Olympic team.
But are you allowed? I'm confused on that. Are you allowed to do that if you have a professional contract?
Yeah, you were.
You were at the time?
Yeah, you were,
okay.
yeah. So, yeah, you could regardless. Obviously, if you're playing in the National League, they wouldn't let you go.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was a great experience for me in 1994 because even NHL, we were playing NHL teams as exhibition. Like, that would never happen now.
But you guys, also I do remember because watching that build up to the Olympics was, you guys were like on a tour, right?
Yeah, it was great.
So you guys are all pretty young.
Yeah.
Young guys, young American hockey players on the road all around Europe. I mean, that must have been What was that like?
Well, it was we were actually on a pretty tight leash, honestly, and we were young at the time, but no, it was a blast. We traveled around. We were in Russia. We were all over Europe. We obviously toured the United States, played NHL teams, so it was a blast.
That had been. And then you get to Lillehammer.
Yeah.
What was the experience like that? I mean,
well, obviously, you're playing against like Forsberg, and you're playing against guys that are pretty darn good. We had a good team, but you can't compete with professionals. No. Even that was the year that Sweden beat Canada. That was the Forsberg goal, yeah. But the experience was amazing. I mean, all the way through, from the tour to playing in the Olympic Games, it was great.
I remember always thinking that was like the goal I wanted, because when I was getting older, I was like, man, that would be so cool if they, and then obviously they didn't do that anymore. Moving on, but so then you go to Jersey. Do you think you're going to make it right away, or did you know that back in the quote unquote you're going to have to start in Albany?
Well, that's I didn't know. I didn't have any expectations of making the team. So what happened? This was a lockout year.
Yeah.
So after the Olympics, I go back and I played in Albany, played in the playoffs. The following year's a lockout year. So Lou sends me down right away. So I didn't make the Devils, and then the lockout happens. I'm on a one-way deal at the time. So he sends me down there, and I said, the lockout comes, and he comes down and says, I can't pay you. I can't pay you your one-way deal. So I said to Lou, obviously I need to be down here for some reason because you sent me down. I said, I'll play for a minor league deal. Just give me whatever the minor league deal is. I want to stay here and I want to play.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So Lou's like, all right, no problem.
He loved to hear that. There's no question of that. So
literally, I play. So I start playing again. Completely illegally, obviously, because we don't even draw up another contract. And I to this day, I don't even know. If you got paid. I know Lou paid me. Yeah. He paid me something. Yeah. It might have been out of his own checkbook, So so I start playing 9 games in. I think it was the Red Wings going, you can't have this guy can't play.
Oh, so they called you out on it.
They called us out. So what happened was then Red Genron was down there at the time, and so
you played with Rob Kahn.
Yep.
Legend.
I did. Yeah. So anyway, I stayed down there for the whole year and practiced with the team. Instead of, I could have literally left and went anywhere. Stayed down there, practiced the whole time. So I think that really helped, because as soon as the lockout started, I got called up after like 7 games.
It was go time. So now
that was it.
Now you go. I don't know if you're kind of one of the first in that group of guys to establish the devil, the devil way, the devil creed. Because back then it's still, they lost to the Rangers 94, so they started getting momentum. But now you're part of that group with, Scotty Stevens, Ken Danico, Pep, Claude Lemieux, Bob, Randy McKay, all those guys were kind of started at the ambience of, hey, here's the New Jersey Devils. What was your experience when you first walked in and wow, there's some Hall of Famers here.
Well, I had been to training camps, before, and obviously you're always in awe of those guys, and the feeling of that, and that's one of the first things you have to get over. But I was a black ace the year that they lost to the Rangers in '94. So you were
okay, all right. I was not around,
but I was around them enough. So, when I got called up, obviously, great feeling. You're playing against, they did really poorly, and then all of a sudden we started winning that year, and. Me and Sergei Brelin, we were young guys that kind of we contributed a little bit, but we had our big horses, of course, the guys that established everything in Jersey, Bruce Driver and Kenny and all those guys.
I remember it was funny because when I made it, I remember I'd do something on the ice and I'd come back, and you probably said it to me. I know Randy would always be like, if Jacques were still here, you wouldn't play the rest of the game. And I was like, and then other guys would chime in and be like, yeah. So I kind of got lucky. But in saying that, I still give credit, and we talked to all the other old Devils guys, where even though I didn't play for him, but Jacques Lemaire definitely started the Devil way.
Yeah,
I know guys you probably all thought he was a pain in the, and we all do the best ones.
Sure.
Coaches, you hate him then, but I know all the guys I talk to, the respect they have for him. But playing in that system, you probably, you come from being a star, you're the top guy, and now you make one mistake on the ice, and that's in a defensive part of it. you're probably not seeing the ice again.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I'm an offensive player in college, and then you get to the show and you think you're going to put up 50, and that doesn't happen. I was actually on the checking line with Bobby Carpenter and Johnny Mack, but Jacques Lemaire, can't say enough. You know, he extended my career for I don't know how many years, but just because I was able to play the defensive side of the puck. And him and Larry, I mean, that's exactly it. Nothing really changed, even when you went on and you won your Stanley Cups. And I had Pat too, and it was the same thing, you know, and it was the same way and how they held themselves and the leadership that was behind that group.
Definitely. So then, I don't know if you probably wouldn't remember this, but you were definitely on the ice. It was a pregame skate, and I'm on the ice, and, you know, I always heard, you know, Messier grabs it from right here, and he shoots it down, and he scores for the hat trick. He has now picked up the hat trick.
Yeah.
And, you know, Gary Thorne, that famous saying.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember I don't know what the hell I was doing. I'm like one of the last guys on the ice, and I think Randy and a couple guys are still down there, and I just start grabbing the puck and going, he is now, you know, he's guaranteed to win. He has now picked up the hat. And Randy grabbed me, like drug me to the corner. He's like, don't you ever say that again. And I was like, and he's like, I was I was there. And I didn't even dawn on me that I'm like, oh my God, these guys lost the heartbreaker. Now here I am. Here's this young punk shooting it. But you go through the playoffs. I mean, you guys just got on a roll.
Yeah.
Next, you know, because we were big fans in Alaska, just the fact Mike Peluso, he was a star in Alaska. Sure. So the whole state was basically, you know, rooting for the Devils.
For sure.
And then I do remember you guys go up against Philly 2-0. And it was like, wow, New Jersey's just going to walk through them.
Yeah.
They win the next two. It's a series. Pep scores a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, you were there, so I don't have to. But now you're in the finals, and it was kind of like, all right, that's it. There's no.
No way.
There's no way. There's no way. There's just no way. And I mean, me knowing hockey was, there's just no way. That's going to suck for Peluso. And then
it was such a surreal thing that, you know, I remember being in the plane, and I don't know why I remember this, but Randy McKay was like, we're going to play for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
We were all like, oh, we're playing for the Stanley Cup. And obviously you're going against a Red Wing team that was supposed to, they were going to smoke us.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing 2 out of the 4 games in that series. But just an amazing atmosphere in Detroit. And I mean, as a young kid, you're 21 at the time, and you're just like,
yeah, what's going
on? Like, you're just trying to go out there and not make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. You're not
even there hard. You know,
people don't realize it's like, did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's probably one of the most stressful times because you don't know what's going on. And we were so young, and all you're hearing from the older guys is, you don't ever know if you're going to get here again. Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, shit, this is my first year. We'll be here a lot, won't we? Like,
this is easy.
But,
that's the thing. I won a Stanley Cup my first year. Never got back. I don't think I got out of the second round after that.
And when you look back at things like that, it's like, how did that happen? I remember it was also a curse. I like to tell people just the fact that you're so young, you don't know what's going on, but then you get a taste of it, and that's all you wanted again.
Right.
And when you keep not coming close to it, it's like, wow, this is I see where guys,
this is not easy.
No, not at all. But I do, I think it was either Pep, Claude Lemieux, or someone told me the story. You guys were up 3-0. It's before Game 4, and you guys are having a pregame skate practice. I forgot what day it was, and everyone's just uptight, like nervous, because no one understands the clinching game is the hardest. And even though you're up 3-0, it's still until it happens. And I think it was Bobby. One of the guys told me. One of the guys told me that everyone was so uptight, you could tell. And Jacques blows the whistle, brings all you guys up, brings all you guys in around, and is like, you know, you guys are up 3-0. Act like it. Like, and whoever told me, he said it just kind of, here's a guy that's won how many Stanley Cups. He's been there before. Everyone believed in him. Everyone knew the system, it was working. But I always thought that was just something incredible that people didn't know about, like the coach gravity. And most coaches wouldn't know how to handle that. They'd probably even be more nervous.
Absolutely.
And him and Larry were like, yo, like
we've been here before.
Yeah, we've been here. We're up. And then, so what was it like after? So you win it.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you did that night?
No, yeah. I remember. It was great. I mean, I remember Randy, shaving after, and, we all have I didn't really have much of a beard, but, almost relieved that it was over.
Yeah.
You know, that I think you know that feeling.
Yep.
I mean, you're in such a grind for the longest time, and then you're like, it's actually over.
It doesn't hit you. Everyone, it's like that famous Gretzky saying, like, everyone else around you is having a blast. Your family, friends, you know, everyone. And as a player, you're still kind of, is this over? Is this it's done? I don't have to go to pray, like,
right.
And then because it doesn't hit you like,
no,
it doesn't hit you like the next day or whatever. Like, holy shit, I'm a Stanley Cup champion. Like, like wow. But so where'd you guys end up? Didn't you guys end up at the VI?
Yeah, we were at the VI.
Famous bar in Jersey.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they kept it open for it. Obviously, there was cops everywhere outside that place, so driving us around, and it was a blast, man. We had a blast, and at the time we had our parade at the Continental Airlines Arena.
Not really a parade. We'd more say
it was more of a
that was always
a parking lot party, but we'd always get panned on for that.
Yeah, that's right. So then the next year, you guys are. I remember that you guys only make the playoffs, and you still had like 90 some odd, points or whatever.
Yeah, it came down to the last game of the year, and actually an ex-Devil had 2 goals. Tom Chorsky scored 2 goals against us, and we didn't make the playoffs. So you knew things were going to change from that point on. And
then a couple years go by. You guys are the favorites. You lose to Ottawa. Bobby corrected me because I thought you guys lost in the first round both times, but you guys lose to Ottawa. And then the next year, that's when I came into the Devils picture because we had just lost in the Western Conference in juniors. We all had blonde hair. Mm-hmm. And I used to have big hair. And I remember my billet found me. I was somewhere. I don't know where the hell I was. It was after, team party, whatever. And she said, your flight's at 3 o'clock and you have a hair appointment at 10. And Lou had called the team. The team called her where I had to dye my hair back to being black. I still think that's one of the reasons why I lost it because it went thin after that. But I should have just shaved it. But I do remember coming down, and that was my introduction. Was I don't know. I thought I was going to Albany. I'm not there. I'm staying at the Turtleback Hotel right across, and then they call me, and I have they call me around whatever and say, go over to the rink. You're going to skate today. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I bring my gear over. And you guys are getting ready to play Pitt. And the only reason I remember this, I was telling Bobby this, was you came up to me, said hi. You guys are in playoffs. What the hell is this kid doing here?
Right.
Yeah, like who's spot? And but I do remember you came up to me and I was like, oh, fuck, Brian Rolston said hi to me. And not many other guys did. But I had to go on the ice it was an optional skate. And Dave Anderchuk, the Hall of Famer, I didn't know Andy that well. I didn't play with him. But he was out of the lineup. And he, so obviously he has to skate, and it was a big deal that Dave Anderchuk's not in the lineup. Yeah. And here I am. I'm on the ice with this guy, and I look back and I'm like, this guy must have been like, not only does he not in the lineup, he's got to skate with this punk junior kid, and it was a surreal moment.
It's awesome.
You guys lose to Pitt, and then I guess this is when I come in.
Yeah. And
I do always, and I said it plenty of times to you and Jen, your fiance at the time, your wife now, like. You were great with me, like because it was an older group. You don't really know many people. I was, and I remember you came back, sat on the plane with me a bunch, didn't play a game. We kind of hit it off. I mean, you guys were just great to me. The Halloween, we went to this Halloween party.
No, I mean but that's that was kind of the culture in New Jersey was so great. Like even when I came in as a young player, like Randy McKay, like. He had me over to his house. I mean, even Scotty was a man of not many words, but they didn't really treat us as rookies. Yeah. I mean, there were some things that we had to do, but other than that, it was, they really relied on you as a player, and I think that culture definitely rubbed off on me. Yeah.
And like I said, guys like you, it was funny you say that because I do remember getting in trouble by game. I did something dumb. It was like game 22, and Holik and McKay grabbed me, and I gave them the old, hey man, I'm just a rookie.
Yeah.
And they said to me, no, you're not. You played your 20 games. You're here for a reason now.
Yeah.
And I remember always that stuck with me. Like, holy shit! Like I'm one of the guys now. Meaning, but and here's one of the weirdest things, and this is when business happens. Is I didn't know it at the time, but I'm sitting in the locker room. We're playing Colorado, or I don't know who we're playing. I think it was it wasn't Colorado because they came. We're playing at someone, and it's after warm-ups, and something's different in the room. Like something happened.
Yeah.
And it was like I'm looking around because I'm one of the last guys to come off the ice, just the way it is, we rookie. And I see guys keep leaving, coming back.
Yeah.
And finally I'm like, what happened? They're like, Rolly just got traded. I'm like,
yeah.
They're allowed to do that, like right now. And then I'm like, and I remember I went back and said bye to you, and I just thought that was one of the worst days I had as a New Jersey Devils when you got traded. But the way it went down, and it was an opener for me, how the business worked. But do you remember? I mean, anytime when you get traded for the first time, it's like it's crushing. Yeah.
Because when you get drafted and you're a Devil, and it's for everybody that gets traded for the first time because you think that's your family, and then you realize what the business is all about, and you don't know that until you get traded for the first time. And it was like right before warm-up, I think I was half dressed.
Yeah.
And I didn't go out for warm-up because he called me in. Lou called me into we had like a little makeshift weight room at the time.
Yeah,
it was tiny. Yeah. I think we had 2 bikes in there or something. But and he, calls me in and says, "We've traded you to Colorado." And it crushed me, obviously. And, Pep came back, right? Mm-hmm. Claude Lemieux came back in that trade. And, wasn't the best fit for me in Colorado either. Because I got traded. That was in November. And then I got traded again. I was in the Ray Bourque deal in March when I went. So I got traded twice that year. And I went to Boston the second time. And that was like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, because I do remember, guys that still kept in touch with you, and they would just say like, the Colorado thing's just kind of just different. It's a different vibe, different culture. It was, and then I remember when you went to Boston, you took off. I mean,
that was it.
It was back to being rolling, like your game just that must. And then you had the great late Pat Burns.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, only for a short time. Like he got fired when I went in. It was just some of the things that happened throughout my career. Like for me to go to Boston at the time, they were not in good shape.
No,
right? They were in bad shape, so that gave me opportunity. And you have to obviously you have to create that opportunity for yourself. But it was just the perfect fit at the time. And I had Pat, and then I had Robbie Fatorik there, who I had before. So. A lot of familiar things there.
And you guys had some good teams. I mean, it was
once we got going and Joe Thornton started going into his own, then we got Billy Guerin. I think we were President Trophy winners one year, so but still didn't do much in the playoffs. But we had some good teams though. And
then you go back to so were you a free agent?
Yeah, I was a free agent when I left. Yeah.
So then what were the teams? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, what are the odds I go to Minnesota? I had talked to a lot of teams. I think LA was one of the teams. They ended up taking another player. And then Minnesota came in, and I'm like, Minnesota? I guess we're going to Minnesota. So, which I knew Jacques. So I was like, this is going to be good. And I'm going, and I didn't think of this at the time. But you got Brent Burns, Mikko Koivu, all these young studs. They're not ready yet. But I went in there. I'm a veteran guy. I'm 32 years old, and had my best years.
Yeah. No, because you got. I mean, those teams were solid, and it was just. I just always remember, it's like, Jesus, man, Rolly just keeps going. Like he's getting better and better.
Yeah,
and it was a system. It was like, and not to just not blowing you or anything, but before we go through our scouting reports, and I remember like, thank God I'm not on the penalty kill because. Yeah, the guy's going to have to get, and like he's going to take bombs all night. I just remember Pando, good friend, like, after games, he's like, you know what it's fucking like? Taking a shot from Rolly? And I never understood that because I didn't want to confront the puck. But who were some of your, like, biggest influences? And, like, guys
obviously, all the guys in Jersey, right, from the beginning, and I'm sure you have the same view. The whole culture behind the Devils and what they were, Lou Lamoriello, being under Jacques Lemaire, Larry Robinson. Then I went back and I had Jacques again.
Yeah.
So, it's all those guys and that really form your early years, and I think that sticks with you no matter what.
Yeah. People would ask, like, not that, either you're a good teammate or you're not.
Yeah.
And people would always ask, like, even if me going through that Montreal year, it still was like, how can you still worry about a young guy? It's like, well, that's what was pressed down to me. I'm letting these guys down if I don't pass their knowledge or
sure.
And I mean, and they're still all of us are still friends at the end. I mean, you don't really find that as I've gotten older. You don't really find that much with other teams. Like meaning, everyone's got their different lives going on, but when you do, my closest friends are still people from the Devils organization that I can relate to. But so now you go back to New Jersey. How did that happen?
Well, I was a free agent again. Obviously, I had my best years in. I wasn't 32 when I went to Minnesota. That's when I went to Jersey. I was an older player, right? Mm-hmm. And those contracts ended after, because they're guaranteed contracts. So it was. Were you in New York at the time?
Yeah.
Because you called me.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
So I was a free agent, and I had. I mean.
That's right. I did call you
because it was once in a lifetime. I had almost every team after me. Not that everybody was going to pay me the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Rangers had. I was thinking New York Rangers, and they, you called me before, and Tom Rennie had called me, so they only wanted to do a 3-year deal, and Lou gave me a 4-year deal. And I'm like, and I think as a player at that time, you're like, geez, Lou wants me back. That I was super proud about that. Yeah. For whatever reason, because that's how much respect I had for him. Yeah. Really. And I went there, had a bit of a slow start, and then I got hurt. I had a high ankle sprain, and as an older guy, it pretty much that was hard to come back from.
For sure. But it's funny because that's when not only did I miss out on you the first time, now all my friends that Rolly's back, and I remember Mott's, Mike Motto, Gio, all. It was always better when a guy would leave, and when you came back, it was a breath of fresh air because you knew the Devil way. Yeah. But at the same time, you've been around other places where guys, loosen up. Like I remember talking to Andy Green, and Green always had the story because we weren't allowed to. Beers or anything. Yeah. So you learn, bring your own. Right. And I remember Greener's in the back of the plane when I went back to New Jersey. Greener's in the back, and he sees I got my own stuff, and I look at him, and he's like, "Rolly taught me, always bring your own." It's just not that you're doing anything bad. I mean, it's just but I do remember all the guys always saying the greatest thing that happened, the reason why we had success on that team is Rolly came back and loosened everything up because it's a tight ship. If you don't have someone that knows that it comes back and
super young team too, mm-hmm. Super young team, obviously, with Zach being there and all those guys. I mean, it was a completely different vibe though when I went back there, and it's not the same vibe as when you left because of the young athletes, and that's kind of when the game starts changing, where the younger guys were really given they give them the throne right away, and hey, you're our new leader, and you're our young guy, and that's when kind of I think not that the culture is different in New Jersey or anything like that, but the culture in professional ice hockey I think has changed in that respect.
And it's funny because all of us older guys, and it almost if you're a younger guy, you probably got sick of hearing it because it just passes down. Because even when I first got there. Guys were complaining that, back in my day, there'd be 20 guys at the bar after practice. But then it did the whole locker room culture completely changed for all of us older guys. Yeah. Because the way we came in, you kind of, they're getting money right away. They're put on that. They're the leaders. That's the way the business goes. But absolutely. They missed out on knowing what it's like to when a vet tells you you're coming to the house for dinner. That's not even negotiable. It's you're going to the house for dinner, and then you get to meet a guy. You get to learn different, how to act in places. And I think some of the young guys they don't understand that. It's just it was
no, and I don't know if they're some of the younger guys don't know how to really be leaders because they haven't. Who have they learned from? Yeah. Anybody that's ever has done anything, and it changes the whole culture of things. I think, and I think. It's a disservice. I think it's a disservice to the younger player.
Sure, it's not his fault.
No, it's not their fault. No, not at all. But it is. It's where the business is going, and you get guys that are locked up for those contracts at a young age, and it's less money. So they don't have that unless they have an older group in there, which is it's pretty rare.
Yeah, especially there's so now you end up in the Islanders. Like it's kind of like is this you thinking like this is your last hurrah? Like
I had a no trade, and Lou called me in the summer and said that and I actually the end of my third year I actually started playing really well with Patrick, and we were on a line and. I was like, I think I'm back. I'm feeling a little bit better. And then Lou called me in the summer and said, because I had asked for a trade a little bit because it wasn't going well with the coach, and they ended up changing the coach, which was better for me. But Lou called me and said that the Islanders wanted me. And he said, if you don't want to go, I'm not going to trade you, and you'll be here. You'll be fine, which Lou was amazing with me, even through those tough times in New Jersey. But I go to Long Island, and you go into a different culture, a completely different culture. And you have a bunch of young guys, Tavares, Bailey, all those young guys, which well, obviously. And it was rough.
I remember. It was rough. I remember.
Nothing against those kids, but that they were given the rein, and and that at the end of the day, if you're an older player, you go into the locker room. They have respect for you just because you played 1,200 games. Yeah. But at the end of the night, when they've played 22 minutes and you played 10, it changes real quick.
That is so true.
It changes real quick.
Oh yeah.
What do you? This guy who's playing 10 minutes, he's going to tell me something?
Exactly.
I'm all set.
Exactly. I remember. Here's the best part too: is you say that's funny because you get older. I went a bunch of places after, and it was like you're helping a kid out. And then the coaches see it, and they're like, but now they want you to do the dirty work. Hey, will you, Gomer, will you talk to that kid? Will you do this and that? Yeah. And just what you said. No, I can't. Yeah. I can't tell him to quit taking long shifts when I'm sitting there playing 7 minutes.
Exactly.
He's going to look at me and fuck off. Like, what are you,
what are you
now,
telling me?
And now if you give me the reins where I'll bench him, different story. But quit coming to me. It's just human nature. Like, he's going to give me the old, okay, Gomer. And then he's going to do the same thing. He knows there's not going to get in trouble. And And I remember coaches wanting me to do that. I'm like, no, I can't. Right. I have no authority over that. So then, because I do remember you guys, I might have been in Montreal when you were in the Islanders, and I went out to dinner with Marty Reisner, Motts, and Pando. And I don't know where you were at, probably at the Shea Prairie or something, but they, and just hearing different. It's like we all kind of had that connection with the Devils way back. Not that we clung on to it, but it was like each one was talking about how different this is. Like, there's guys.
No, it was great when Pando came on. That was awesome. I loved that. But at that time, me and Pando are kind of hanging on, and which sucks. But then I get to the trade deadline. I actually got waived, and then at the trade deadline, Boston picks me up. Basically, as an extra forward, because they want to make another run at winning the Stanley Cup. And that was awesome. I loved going back there. I had played with Patrice and when he started, and great culture in that dressing room, great veteran guys. And I went in and played really well, and it was awesome. It was just fun to enjoy playing hockey again, And
that's the thing that, because at that point, we talk about it like when you get older, the culture's changed so much where when I came in, older guys, they didn't even care if they played. They just didn't want to leave the locker room. Yeah. And then things change. Hey, it's just human nature. But I was the same way at the end. It was, man, I just want to play hockey and play a good hockey. Like, and
just let me play.
Yeah. And if and I always told, I got to see every side of all of it where you're not in a hockey game if you're playing 10 minutes.
Right.
But if you play 12, you're in a game. And people are like, really? And I'm like, it's that different where 10 minutes is literally, you don't know when your next shift is.
No.
If you're playing 12, 13, you're still kind of having a regular shift.
Sure.
You can get into it. And it's...
Well, that's the whole, especially when you're used to playing, 20 minutes, 17 to 20 minutes. If you play that much, you're in the game and you're not in your head. Right?
Exactly.
Like when you don't play, you're in your head.
Well,
and the first thing you don't even have to think about it when you're playing 20 minutes. It's like, I'm up again? So you just play.
It's when you're playing 20 and playing good minutes, even if you don't have legs, you know your legs are going to come. But when you're playing 10, that's the first thing mentally, like, I got no legs. I got no legs. I got no legs. Here it is.
Oh, yeah.
So you end. When did you end?
It was the lockout year. I want to say 12, 13. So it was a lockout. So half the I was ready to be done. But if someone were to come, I would have probably played. That would have been my last year. But there was nothing substantial there, and they certainly weren't going to start signing guys, especially an older guy. I was 38 years old, so. But that was it, and
so now life begins.
Yeah.
How did you had it's different because you got a family, you got kids, so you're obviously active. But what was your it's over now. Like what like my hardest part, and I talked to like Pan, I talked to other guys was you don't have a routine anymore. No one's telling you what to do. I mean, you obviously had kids, but it's like when did you kind of realize like, wow, this is this they weren't lying. Play as long as you can. I mean, you're ready to go, but now when it finally happens, it's
well, there was a lockout at the time, so it wasn't super strange. But when hockey starts back up again, and you're just like, it takes a good year to 2 years
for sure
to be like, I'm not a hockey player anymore.
I'm not a hockey player anymore,
and it's very humbling. Mm-hmm. It's very humbling. At the same time, both of us had long careers, and had good contracts and things like that, which is awesome. And you don't have to worry about those things as much, but it does. It takes a good couple years to be like, what am I doing now?
And you're still. It's funny because you still have. It does. It takes 2 years, and you do have that itch for like you do. Maybe I never watched hockey, but if it was on or something, I'm looking. I'm like, I could still. I can still do something. You get that little, and then reality hits you. Like, no, that's over, man.
Yeah, that's done. Yeah.
So one of the best moments of my life, and I think people my age don't realize it, and I got into it with Brian Szymanski and all those guys, were my 1980 moment, and I'm sure you remember 1980s, or the Olympic gold 1980. Sure. Well, our moment was the 96 World Cup.
Yeah.
And I didn't play, but just being in that atmosphere, really, that was the best high. Being with those guys, what was that experience like?
Well, I had been with that group that World Cup. I came off a World Championship where we won bronze. When it was like the biggest deal ever.
Yeah, when no one.
And I was pretty young at the time to come into that team, but all the big hitters, man, right? All the big Americans, Medano, Roenick, Hall, all these guys, Chelios, all these guys that basically brought USA hockey to where it is now. Yeah. Let's face it, 1996 was the game changer.
Because no one understood that, even at the World Cups or whatever it was called, in the 90s, I think 91, where USA made it to the finals against Canada. It was still, and we were always, I played on same with you, I played on all the select teams. And we maybe they didn't pick the best kids.
Right.
And so we'd go play Canada, and we, still bitter about that. We'd get our asses, so it was always that. But 96 not only changed it, I guess what I'm saying is it changed it for our era, my era of kids. We're like, holy shit, we're the best.
Yeah.
Like, we're the best of the best. And we had the bragging rights finally in hockey. And especially because that group, it was against the Gretzkys, the Coffeys, the Messiers. It was like there was no holds bar. Even they might have been a little older. It was you guys. I can't even imagine you being a part of that. And you were part of the whole time.
Yeah, the whole experience, because leading up to that, you play the whole time. You play scrimmages against those teams, and they were bloodbaths.
Yeah,
they were. There was genuine hatred there, and it was amazing. To watch those guys, they really carried the torch for a long time for USA hockey, including my experience. And I didn't make the '98 team for the Olympics, but I went in 2002 at Salt Lake. It was pretty much the same guys there.
Yeah, and I'm better about that one.
And we got to the final.
Yeah.
And that one was really exciting for me because I was more a part of that on the ice and playing, and
it was
it still was a big.
It was
big
still
build
up. It was still build up. Like everyone, you can't kid yourself. Everyone wanted to see Canada US.
Yeah.
That was and then too bad is what happened in the finals, because it was just. But yeah, I remember just Now I'm a part of that where I'm pissed. I'm not. I started out slow, but anyway.
Yeah.
But then we played at the World Cup together.
Yeah.
And that was. I know all those guys were older now.
Was that the one in Minnesota? Yeah.
In Minnesota, Columbus.
Yeah.
And but I just remember being, part of that group again, where I was finally a part of that group, and
Absolutely.
I'm out to dinner with Brian Leach, and just the way they all took care. And like you said, they're the guys they're the reason why I was here. They're the reason why I played. And then what a fun tournament. I mean, we ended up losing, but that was just a great experience getting to meet all you guys. I mean, really getting to be a part of that. And then we were in Torino. Yeah. And that was kind of that was one we don't really talk about.
That's right. That
was just.
It was the end of that run. Yeah, right.
Definitely.
Those guys were getting older, and anytime we went out of went to Europe, not being in Canada, U.S., it never really went well.
No.
And we always played better on the smaller sheet, and because we had a lot of tough guys, like Kachuk and Billy Guerin.
All
those guys, and it was just the end of the line, and there was a few of us young guys, but I don't think we were ready to carry the torch at that time.
No, it took a gap kind of group.
It did.
And then then the Canes and all those kids came up.
Yes.
I remember that was. I just always remember, like, God, if I would have been a part of that older, the bragging rights, because my kind of generation, we didn't take the torch that well.
It was. There was a little bit of a lull there, but definitely, that World Cup, and I mean, being in Canada, it was like, was insane. It was insane. You're outside. It was like a funeral. It really was. It was amazing. Not in a good way, but that's how serious they take it in Canada.
Oh, for sure.
And it was a pretty cool moment.
I was in.
I do have a ring from that one, even though I didn't play.
Thanks. Well deserved. Because
I did get one game. Smoke was on that team too, right? Yeah.
That's what he was in.
Yeah. So I played in one. I did play in one game in the Garden.
Oh, that was against what he said, Russia.
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
But he was saying, because just hearing those stories from you guys, the inside, because I was actually in. I said it. I was in Canada my first year away from home. It was an exhibition game. I'm not playing. Me and this other U.S. kid. Yeah. We got to watch the game, and same thing. We, believe it or not, Chris Wilson said it before. We had to get escorted out, because even there in Hope, BC, it was a funeral.
Oh yeah.
And we were kind of let everyone know that U.S. had won, but until we got on the bus, we were fine. But yeah, so. Yeah,
that was definitely a highlight for sure for USA Hockey.
So then let's get into the Brian Rolston Hockey Academy.
Okay.
How did this? I mean, this is unbelievable. People have never been here. Like, I was with Brian Smolinski the other day. He was telling me, wait till you see Rolly's place. And I mean, I can't even imagine being a kid and having, especially with having your leadership. Meaning, like I said, it's good. It's about the kids. You're one of those guys.
It is. And I basically it kind of just came to me. I wanted to do some kind of training facility. My son Ryder. My son, he's at Notre Dame now, but he was in high school at the time, and there's some schools around here that do the same kind of thing, and the rink kind of just fell into my lap, and so I started it with 8 kids the first year. It was 8 kids on my team, and I literally did the off ice, on ice. I'm out running out to get them lunch. There was no DoorDash or anything like that at the time. So and it's just kind of snowballed now. And that's exactly it. I want to give back. You want to have a purpose. Help these kids. Not do. It's more about mentoring them and trying to help them. They don't have to play in the National Hockey League or anything like that. It's about them enjoying the game, helping them the best we possibly can.
And obviously, you guys have done that. Like, so you start this. When did you know? Like, wow, this is gonna. I could really do something here. And like you said, it kind of fell in your lap, but. Like, if we're gonna do this, let's make this a top notch facility. I mean, too, because people, there's people from Alaska calling me, and asking me if I'd give you a call and go to the Brian Rolston Academy, and I've never seen the kid play.
Sure,
I've always been honest with you, but the fact that I can honestly say to a parent when they ask, like, all I know is I don't know if the kid's gonna play. I don't know that, but he's going to be under the leadership of Brian Rolston.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
And that's the whole thing too. And you know it as well as I do. If they come to my academy, you're not guaranteed anything, right? What I like to do with the Little Caesars organization and my hockey academy is give them the best possible experience. That's it.
Yeah.
And then whatever they do with it, they do with it. But I know that I can give them the best experience. I give them everything that I got as a pro, and that's what I try to provide our kids. And the same thing with Little Caesars. We want to give the best possible experience for Detroit players, or anybody that comes in. One of my top players, McCormick from Alaska, he's got a bright future, and he came in this year, and I think they're pleased with what they've gotten. So, at the end of the day, we can't make anybody.
Do
pros.
I get a cut for that because you can call me and
maybe.
What do I get, a pair of gloves or something?
Yeah,
or
something.
Some Caesar gloves.
Something. If you give me a couple more Alaska kids, we'll be all set.
And that's great, but you hit a point where the greatest thing about hockey, and you said it right there, it's what experience did you have? What experience do you take away? Like, we rave about our Devil's Days. For certain places, it's because that's where I had a great experience. Absolutely. I can't say anything bad. Things, but as a kid, that's even a million times more important. Like, how many kids not kids, guys my age that, the difference was they had the worst junior experience, or they had the worst this, they had the worst, and they're still complaining about that. And there's some guys that are older that all they do is praise their college hockey. That was the best time. Hey, I didn't make it. I'm doing good in life, but the lessons I learned still to this day keep me. And I think that's where some parents get away from that. It's not whether you make it or not. It's like, if a kid needs to make a decision, whether it's right or wrong, what would Coach Ralston think? Or I still have, what would Mr. Chandler, my mentor in high school, like, what would he think if I, and I think people get away from that.
Yeah, they do, 100%. And they're chasing something. They're chasing something that's not there. And that's what I always come back to. What kind of experience can we give you? And we're going to give you the best possible experience. That's it. And I think you're 100% correct saying, like, they're chasing something that puts more pressure on your kid. Just give them the best experience and let the chips fall where they may.
Because I know all my friends that have been involved with great college players. None of them really want to teach or give back because it's not that they don't want to. It's just the BS that goes behind the scenes. Where we talk about chasing it, it's most of the time it's the parent chasing it more than the kid.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard for people to understand that. Like, well, what made you different? Well, I didn't have the parents that yelled at me after hockey.
Right.
My dad was my baseball coach. That's a total different story.
Yeah.
But when it came to hockey, I think people have a hard time. What do you mean your parents weren't? Didn't they? Like, I remember one time a parent asked my dad, I went -5 in an NHL game, and my dad's at the rink for our foundation, and a parent came up to him and goes, wow, Scott had a tough one. And my dad's like, yeah. And the guy goes, are you going to give him shit? And my dad looked at the guy and was like, are you serious? And the guy was like, well, you're not going to say anything to him? And my dad's like, he'll go tell me to go fuck myself. So what am I going to say? I didn't play in the NHL. That's a hard. I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Now if it's on the construction site, different story. But no, I'm not going to yell at my kid. He's me and my dad were laughing about that. Like, wow, Dad, I guess there's really parents like that would get on all the way in that level.
Yeah,
I can't imagine this.
Yeah, no, that's the thing about the amateur level, and I think you hit it on the head. There's so many times where I've thought to myself, does this kid really want to play hockey? That's the thing.
Explain this to the parent.
He doesn't want to be here. So, and it's tough. But at the end of the day, you have to, go back to saying you're doing the best for the kid. At the end of the day, that's what you have to do, regardless of what the parents are doing.
So, you've gone through it all. Parents are, you've seen it all as a player. Now, how cool is that? Like, your kid gets drafted.
Yeah.
By Colorado.
Yeah.
And I like to think I helped him out because I coached him one game.
Yeah, absolutely.
We lost 6-2, but it was an all-star game. But that's got to be kind of, not there yet. But he's it's kind of an accomplishment. We're like, holy shit, there could be another Ralston.
Yeah.
That's going to be in there. And especially me knowing you and Jen, how great of parents you guys are. Like, That's got to be.
No, it's.
How does that feel?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Just the accomplishment of getting drafted. There's no real, whatever happens. Obviously, he's at Notre Dame right now. He's at a great school. We're very proud of that too. So. He gets. We're
smart.
It sucks about COVID and all this going on is that you don't have that experience of going to the draft and having your name called, and we're watching it on an iPad, at Notre Dame, and but it was cool, with the general managers Joe Sakic, who I played with, and. You know how that goes. There's most of those guys we either played with them or played against them, but super cool, great organization, I'm proud of them, and Jen's, we're super proud of them.
That's great. Speaking of COVID, we're all going through this, but it must be, just being at the rink for you, it's got to be like 1,000 times different. Where you said it earlier, your phone's getting blown up. We're all doing these new rules. No one knows what's going on, but you have to deal with kids that, what are they feeling? This has got to be like, you're not hanging out with your buddies. You're not. It's just got to be different. And you're the leader of this. You've probably seen it and kind of had to take different steps.
You jump through hoops for sure. With the academy and the different rules that we have to live by and. It's not good for the kids. Obviously, they have to be home. They're on their computers, and they don't have a whole lot of outlets. We're hoping it loosens up a little bit soon, but it can be very difficult to navigate through.
Oh, I bet. So, what's your greatest hockey moment?
Well, it's got to be Stanley Cup, right? That was huge. Silver medal. That was pretty cool too.
You're part of. I see. I thought you were going to say meeting Jen at the VI, because I think I'm on the list where I had a girlfriend for how many years? I met her at the VI. I think Billy Guerin met his wife.
Pando, probably, right?
No, Pando. No, we introduced Pando to Julia. Julianne. It's you, Billy, maybe Johnny Mack. But I know it was funny because there's a list of us that all met.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. I got a great wife. She's awesome. Gave me 4 great kids, and we're running this rink. It's like we bought a zoo, We're running this rink. So no, but it's been fun, and she's super rock solid, and couldn't do any of this without her for sure.
That's awesome. You still jamming on the guitar?
I do a little bit. I got so many guitars. Like I have a house up north, in Traverse City, and I have I got a bunch of electric guitars, and I got like Sign Slash, Gibson, Les Pauls.
That pisses me off because when I was with you for a little short time, I just got a guitar.
Yeah.
And I think you were kind of maybe a little ahead of me.
I just started like when I was 21.
Yeah. So obviously you're way ahead of me then, but I remember you were like, dude, you playing the guitar? And I was like, yeah. And you're like, oh man, we're gonna have you at the house. Jam, and I always think, because I get up there and jam a little bit. I've been on a couple stages, but nothing here. But you played at your wedding, right? Wasn't that?
No, I didn't. I didn't play it.
Oh, that's what I thought that was a myth. Where that was like you were striving to you were going to play a song.
No, I was okay. I just play chords and things like that. There's nothing good about what I do, but I got to play with Dropkick Murphys when I was in Boston. They played after a game one time. So I got to play with them, and that was a blast.
I got to play on a stage with the foundation, great H Street. What is H Street? TJ, famous local band.
Yeah.
But I still say to this day, people would ask I'm taking Rockstar over playing in the National Hockey League in a second, because even getting up on stage when there's only 800 people, but that's right up there. And I'm just following the bass because I know I'm messing up every time. But just getting up on there, that's always been my highlight, and people have a hard time believing that.
That's amazing.
You played some big games. I'm like, one of my best moments is I'm with the band, man.
With 1,000 people there, right? I know, it's funny.
Right. But Rolly, man, I can't thank you enough. What you're doing is tremendous, not only for U.S. hockey, but all of hockey, all kids. Like I said, Alaskans are coming into your program. You've always been solid to me. You've always been solid to anyone. You're one of those guys that's really. If someone were to say Brian Rolston's a bad guy, you know that guy's a piece of shit. And your standard's that high. I mean, I'm sure I get fuck Gomer, but you are one of those guys you cannot find a human being
I appreciate
that would say it. But man, I love you to death, and thank you so much for